What's up, everybody? This is iNcontroL, and I want to talk about the year 2014 and as it relates to Evil Geniuses and their esports divisions, and just kind of the big moments that occurred over the year. Leading off for me has got to be that #1 moment where we signed the Call of Duty team off of Complexity. It was talked about as the biggest purchase of a gaming squad in the history of esports. It was a really big deal. Call of Duty at the time was, of course, becoming the big FPS game, the one that people were getting really hyped up about and showing up in droves, not only to buy, but to watch. For me, this was awesome. It was huge. It brought us to the X Games, which is also, in my opinion, one of the bigger events to have happened in esports. I mean, X Games is a big freaking deal. There's medals awarded there. This is really mainstream stuff. So for one of the first times, gaming was put on that really big stage, and it was because of Call of Duty, because of that squad. So that was a really big and amazing moment for me. Coming in at #2 has got to be Evil Geniuses' run at the International 4 this past year. What an incredible run that was. The prevailing thought is that the Chinese teams are all powerful. They are kind of like the Koreans in StarCraft 2. They really set the bar for excellence, and for a team from kind of the Western Hemisphere to rise above and do well and distinguish themselves, it's unique and awesome. For me as a fan, to kind of plug into that hype and to get in on that excitement is absolutely incredible. They were kicking ass in the group stages, and that was kind of one of the first indicators. It's like, okay, this could be real. They could really do this. And it was an amazing kind of underdog story. In a strange way, they actually took second in their group stages, so they weren't one of the underdogs or one of the favorites if you look at it on paper. But again, at the back of everyone's head was, well, they're going to face those Chinese teams. They should get stomped. And as history would have it, they did end up taking third place, but it was such an amazing run. It had so many people so excited. Probably one of my absolute favorites of the year is #3. And that's Justin Wong saving Marvel. He wins 2014 EVO. This is the big of big tournaments for fighting games. But it's the way he did it, going down to the wire against New York Chris G, who is kind of regarded as the bad guy of Marvel. He's not actually a bad guy, but he plays kind of a broken team that people love to hate, essentially. And Justin Wong is that white knight, that good guy, that legendary name of someone that you can't help but to root for at all times, no matter what game he's playing. So it goes down to the wire, and he finally wins. I'll always give Justin crap because the way he celebrated was he dove on the floor and just kind of beached himself. But the feelings, the tears coming down my face, and everyone else's pretty much, just the emotion was pretty incredible. And a close second to that, again with Justin Wong, is when he actually won Killer Instinct at MLG Anaheim 2014 as well. Going into that tournament, again, just like Justin Wong does, he points for the fence and usually he hits there. He said, one of the only tournaments that I haven't won and one of the only trophies that I don't have on my shelf is MLG. And he pointed for the fence. He said, I'm going to go win Killer Instinct. He told our player manager, Antonio Javier, that. And he goes and he does it. And that's absolutely incredible. And I got to witness it firsthand, and a little bit of esports history was had, but it was a big deal because it's a moment where one of the absolute greats says, I'm going to go do something, and then he freaking does it. And I think that's just powerful in its own right. #4 for me is really near and dear to my heart. It's going to be Idra's return to Evil Geniuses. I was there. I was at Ground Zero when he was fired from the squad in 2013 for being a little bit of a controversial character that we all know and love him to be, and some don't love him to be, as it would turn out. But in 2014, it's a bit of a redemption story. He found a game that he loves, Heroes of the Storm, and as Idra would, he became one of the absolute best in it. And when you become one of the absolute best, you get signed by Evil Geniuses. So he came back despite his pretty bad exit. He was able to redeem himself, and they went to BlizzCon and they're practicing, and they're doing really well right now. And it was so cool because he came in for an interview into the San Francisco offices, and he is so centered and so completely at peace with where he's at. He's going to school, he's healthy, he's working out all the time, he's playing a game that he loves. That a lot of people saw the interview and were like, that's fake. You guys fed him answers. You know, that's not the real Greg. That's the real Greg. That's what time and maturity and healing can do. And while we're not talking about a major championship that he won or millions of dollars that he made. We're talking about a cooler story, and that's that a guy learned through gaming and professional gaming and became a better human being and then redeemed themselves. And I think to have that at the Evil Geniuses family and to see that come to fruition is really powerful in its absolute own right. Last but certainly not least, and perhaps the most relevant and powerful of all 5 of these, is going to be Evil Geniuses / Good Game Agency being purchased by Twitch / Amazon. For me, this is the culmination of events that began in 2009, for me at least, when I first joined the organization, but it started even before that. It started with Alex Garfield in his college dorm room pursuing a dream of supporting players. These guys needed management. Alex was going to do that. Some odd years later, he's selling his company to a major company, a big player on the planet, because he did such a good job of that. And everyone that kind of fell in underneath him and worked towards that dream that started there also helped make that possible. And as a person that can proudly say I was there at fairly ground zero, we'll call it ground 5-0 or something, I can tell you that it wasn't the easiest thing, but it's one of the most amazing things to see happen. It's that redemption story. It's that realization of dreams. And the nice thing about it is it's not the ending of said dreams, it's the beginning of it. So that's all really fluffy. The actual matter-of-fact reality of it is that Amazon recognized a company that grew up in competitive gaming and esports as something worth investing large amounts of money in and getting behind and putting their name on it. And if you just take a second to think about what that means gaming's arrived. That means it's here. Competitive gaming. It's always been something that people knew could happen, and now it's starting to happen. And that began here with Evil Geniuses, and in the year 2014. So I think when we look back on esports, we look back at Evil Geniuses in the year 2014, this is going to be a year that sticks out. This is the year where we were given a chance to step up to the plate and be legitimate, and to announce to the whole world that we're here, and to do something with that. So that's my top 5 for 2014. I hope 2015 sees even bigger and better things.